If you're crying over someone who couldn't see your value, I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself something important. Why are you handing the definition of your worth to the very person who couldn't recognize it? Think about that. We do this all the time. We make someone else the judge, the jury, and the executioner of our self-worth. When someone leaves us, treats us poorly, or fails to commit, we start to question everything about ourselves. What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? We fall into this dangerous trap of tying our value to their behavior, to their decisions, to their shortcomings. But here's what I want you to hear today. Your value was never measured by his ability to see it. His actions or lack of action do not define how lovable, desirable, or worthy you are. You don't lose value because someone didn't know how to hold on to you. Just because someone couldn't appreciate your depth, your loyalty, your heart, doesn't mean those things don't exist in you. It just means they weren't capable of receiving it, respecting it, or matching it. When a man doesn't see your worth, it's easy to assume you're the problem. But that's not the truth. That's your insecurity talking. That's your heartbreak. The truth is, not everyone is ready for real. Not everyone is prepared for someone who shows up with their whole heart. And not everyone is mature enough to recognize when they've got something rare. Some people need to lose something precious before they even begin to understand what it was. And that's not your job to fix. It's not your responsibility to keep proving, convincing, or reminding someone that you're valuable. Your job is to own that value, whether they see it or not. If you have to twist yourself, shrink yourself, or constantly seek validation just to keep someone interested, that's not love. That's emotional survival. And you are not here to survive relationships. You're here to thrive in them. So instead of sitting there overanalyzing his choices, wondering if you should have said something different or worn something different or acted differently, stop. You could have done everything right, and he still might have left. You could have been the best version of yourself and it still wouldn't have made a difference because he wasn't the right match for that version of you. That doesn't make you too much. That doesn't make you hard to love. That makes him unable to handle what you bring to the table. Let me ask you this. If you gave someone a winning lottery ticket and they tossed it aside because they didn't know its value, would you spend the next year trying to convince them that it was worth millions? Or would you realize they just weren't smart enough to hold on to it and walk away knowing the ticket is still worth what it's worth? That's what you are. You're that ticket, full of potential, full of richness, full of depth. And someone who tosses you aside doesn't decrease your value. They simply reveal their blindness to it. You've been trained, maybe without even realizing it, to believe that being loved is a reward for being good enough. That if you just do more, give more, love more, then someone will stay. But the truth is, love isn't a performance. You shouldn't have to audition to be accepted. The right person will never make you question whether you're worthy. The right person sees you. They don't make you feel invisible, like a placeholder or like a plan B. They don't disappear when things get tough or flirt with other options just to keep their ego fed. The wrong person makes you feel like you're chasing something. The right person makes you feel chosen without having to chase. So stop crying over the man who couldn't see you. Stop making his inability to recognize your greatness into a reflection of your lack. What if his rejection wasn't the universe telling you you're unworthy? What if it was protection? What if it was life making space for something that actually matches the woman you're becoming? Because that's the real test, isn't it? Not whether he regrets losing you, but whether you are strong enough to stop regretting losing him. That's how you win. That's how you get your power back, by realizing that the only person you ever needed to be seen by was you. So let him go. Let him miss out. Let him have his journey. That's not your burden to carry. You have a life to build, a peace to protect, a future to write that doesn't include begging someone to love you better. Your value is never measured by his ability to see it. Confidence is the sexiest revenge. You don't need to send a long message. You don't need to get closure. You don't need to prove to him that he made a mistake. You just need to rise. Because here's the thing, when someone walks away from you, or worse, treats you like you're disposable, it's easy to internalize that. It's easy to feel like maybe you weren't enough. Maybe if you'd been more fun, more understanding, more whatever, he would have stayed. But no, that mindset will chain you to his absence. And worse, it will make his opinion of you more important than your own. And I want you to break that chain. The most powerful way to move on is to not try and make him regret losing you. It's to become the version of yourself that you regret not becoming sooner. You do that, and the regret, that comes naturally for him. Let me explain why confidence is the ultimate revenge. Because it doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, it doesn't chase. Confidence whispers, I'm good without you. I'm growing without you. I'm becoming everything I was always meant to be. And you no longer have a seat at this table. That's devastating for someone who thought you'd always be available. Now, confidence isn't fate. You don't put it on like a new outfit and hope it convinces someone you're okay. Confidence is rebuilt, one decision at a time. It's choosing to get up in the morning and move your body even when you feel numb. It's choosing to spend time with friends who remind you who you are rather than isolating yourself over someone who forgot. It's setting goals again, small ones, achievable ones, just to remind yourself that your life still has momentum, that you still have power. And over time, you notice something strange. You laugh again. You start doing things you used to love, or maybe things you never gave yourself permission to try. You begin saying no to crumbs, to half-hearted efforts, to people who only want you when it's convenient. You become bolder. You stop worrying so much about what he's thinking, or whether he's moved on, or if he's watching your stories, because you're too busy watching your own life transform. And let me tell you, nothing makes someone question their choices like seeing you thrive in the very life they assumed you couldn't build without them. But here's the trick. You don't do it for that. That's just a side effect. You do it because you deserve it. You deserve a life where your energy isn't being drained by someone who couldn't show up for you. You deserve to feel attractive, not because someone told you so, but because you believe it when you look in the mirror. You deserve to feel excited, not because he texted you, but because you made plans that make you feel alive. The moment you start choosing yourself, really choosing yourself, is the moment everything shifts, because you become magnetic. People notice when someone is standing tall again after being broken. They notice when your eyes light up with new energy, when your posture says, I know who I am now. And yes, sometimes he notices too. That message will come. Hey, I've been thinking about you. I miss you. You look amazing these days. But that message, it won't matter. Not because it doesn't sting a little, not because it wouldn't have meant something months ago, but because you're not that version of yourself anymore. You're not sitting by the phone waiting for his voice. You're not hoping he sees your worth. You've already claimed it. And when someone finally realizes your value, only after losing access to you, that's not love. That's loss. See, the real win isn't in making him regret. It's in not needing that regret to validate you anymore. That's power. That's what true confidence looks like. It's quiet, but it's undeniable. So don't cry over him. Don't analyze his every move. Don't try to guess when the regret will hit. Just become the woman who's too busy shining to notice the shadows behind her. Because that is the kind of revenge that doesn't just hurt, it humbles. Let your evolution be the echo of what he threw away. You've got to stop replaying old conversations in your head. I know how easy it is to go back to that one moment, that one message. The tone he used, the thing you wish you had said differently. Maybe you're thinking, if I'd only done this instead, maybe he'd still be here. But let me tell you something. Those conversations are done. They don't need your energy anymore. What needs your energy is you. You're living in a past that he already walked away from. And every time you hit rewind on those memories, you're putting your power in his hands. He doesn't even have to be in the room anymore for him to take up space in your mind. That's how much control you're giving to someone who chose not to value you the way you deserved. And if we're being honest, some part of you knows that no matter what you had said, no matter how perfect you tried to be, he still wouldn't have shown up the way you needed. That's not a script you can edit. It's a truth you need to accept. Because here's what happens. When you're stuck on the past, you're not creating anything new. You're not meeting someone better. You're not growing into that version of yourself who finally puts herself first. You're too busy time traveling back into moments where you were hurt, dismissed, or made to feel small. And that's not where your story is anymore. That's a chapter that ended the moment he decided to treat you like an option. So instead of asking, why didn't he fight for me? I want you to start asking, why have I been fighting so hard for someone who stopped showing up? Let that land. Because the version of you that's going to attract real love, deep love, healthy love, that version doesn't live in the past. She's somewhere in the future, waiting for you to catch up. Rewriting your story doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means you stop letting it define you. You stop using that relationship or that breakup as the filter through which you see yourself. You're not the girl who wasn't enough. You're the woman who is about to build a life so rich and full, he won't just regret losing you, he'll realize he never even deserved you. I've seen it too many times. A woman loses herself in trying to figure out why it went wrong, while the man who broke her heart is already living his life. Not because he's better, but because he let go, while she's still hanging on to every last thread. And what I'm telling you is, cut the thread. Free yourself. Because the only way to make someone regret losing you is by becoming someone who doesn't look back. Think about it. When you meet someone who exudes joy, self-respect, and clarity, someone who walks into a room and owns her space, not because she's loud, but because she's whole, that's magnetic. That's power. And the guy who once thought he could walk away from you and never look back, that's when it hits him. Not when you post a sad quote, not when you respond to his I miss you text, but when he sees you've evolved past the version of yourself that needed his validation. You don't get there by dissecting every detail of what happened. You get there by making bold choices about your future. You decide, I'm no longer playing the role of someone abandoned. I'm rewriting the script. And in this new story, your value is not up for negotiation. Your time is not available to people who only show up when it's convenient. And your heart, that only goes to someone who shows up every single day with intention and consistency. And I know it's not easy. It's hard to let go of something you invested so much of your heart in. But if he was the right one, you wouldn't be hurting like this. If he was the right one, you wouldn't be constantly questioning yourself, doubting your worth, or settling for crumbs. The right one brings peace, not confusion. And you don't need to keep justifying chaos just because it once felt like love. So stop sitting there wondering what he's thinking. Stop checking if he's watched your story. Stop hoping he'll realize what he lost. Instead, start showing yourself what you can find. Pour that energy into your passions, your health, your friendships, your growth. Build a life so good, so undeniably aligned with your truth that the idea of going back feels ridiculous. You're not here to make someone else regret leaving. That might happen, but that's not the goal. The real win is when you look in the mirror and realize you didn't need him to be whole. You just needed to remember who you were before you started shrinking yourself for someone else's comfort. That's how you rewrite the story, not by waiting for a text that may never come, but by becoming someone who no longer needs it. Because the moment you stop Looking back is the moment he'll wish he could. No more responding to hey texts or accepting last-minute plans like they're doing you a favor. That time is done. You're not someone who just waits around, hoping to be chosen. You're not someone who jumps at crumbs thinking it's a meal. And I say that with love, because we've all been there. We've all had moments where we accepted less because we wanted more. We were scared that walking away meant losing something special. But if it's truly special, it doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't treat you like a convenience. It shows up consistently, respectfully, with intent. See, when someone gives you breadcrumbs, random messages, a vague attention, occasional charm, it's not because they care deeply and just don't know how to show it. It's because they want to keep you close enough without committing fully. And when we accept that, we unintentionally send the message, this is enough for me, but it's not. And it never was. You're not a backup plan. You're not a second option. You're not someone who settles for the occasional spark when you deserve the whole damn fire. Think about how many times you've rationalized the behavior. Maybe he's just busy, or he's not great at texting, or I don't want to seem too needy, but deep down, you felt it. That nagging feeling that something's off, that you're giving more than you're getting, that you're hoping for something that never fully shows up. And here's the truth. If someone wanted to be in your life consistently, they would be. It's not about being too busy. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about priorities. And when someone shows you you're not one, believe them. You don't have to respond to every message. You don't have to prove you're cool or chill with their inconsistency. Let me tell you what's actually powerful. Standards. Standards are sexy. Boundaries are magnetic. They say, I know my value, and I'm not here to audition for your affection. When you stop engaging with low-effort behavior, you immediately raise the bar for how people treat you. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. That's self-respect. And it sends a powerful message, not just to the person who took you for granted, but to yourself. You're saying, I don't operate in emotional uncertainty. I don't chase people who are unsure about me. I want peace, not confusion. Consistency, not chaos. Let me be clear. Cutting the breadcrumbs doesn't mean you're bitter. Doesn't mean you wish them harm. It simply means you're no longer feeding a connection that starves you. You can wish them well, but from a distance. You can hope they find clarity, but not at the expense of your own. Because your love isn't something someone should stumble upon. It's something they should fight to keep. There's a kind of quiet power in walking away from things that don't meet your standards. It's not dramatic, it's not angry, it's dignified. You simply let go and let them feel the absence of your presence. And if they realize what they lost, that's not your concern. That's not your job. You didn't leave to make them regret it. You left because you realized you deserve more. And that shift, that internal switch from maybe he'll change to I've changed, that's everything. That's when you start to attract people who don't make you doubt, who don't need convincing, who show up because they see your value without you having to spell it out. Let them miss the old you, the one who answered every call, forgave every flake, waited by the phone. That version of you doesn't exist anymore. She's evolved. She doesn't beg for energy that should be freely given. She's no longer accessible to people who only reach out when it's convenient. She's building a life so full, so rich, that silence from him isn't painful, it's peaceful. Don't respond to the hey stranger. Don't respond to you up. Don't lower your energy for someone who never rose to meet it. Let them feel what it's like when access to you is earned, not assumed. That's when the shift happens. That's when regret hits. Because people don't regret losing someone who begged. They regret losing someone who never needed to. Stop chasing closure, in their words. Create it with your actions. Walk with grace. Hold your standards. And when they come back, and many do, you'll realize something powerful. You won't be bitter. You won't be angry. You'll just be unavailable. Let them regret. You rise. Breakups have this uncanny way of leaving us feeling powerless, like somehow someone took our value and walked away with it, especially when it's someone we gave so much of ourselves to, our time, our love, our trust. And when that person leaves or treats us like we were disposable, the natural reaction is to sit in that pain, trying to figure out what went wrong, what we could have done differently, or how we can make them realize what they lost. But I want to flip that script for you, because the truth is, the most powerful thing you can do after a heartbreak isn't to beg, to cry, or to chase. The most powerful thing you can do is to channel that pain into momentum. That pain you're feeling, that ache in your chest, that heaviness in your gut when you think about him, that's energy. It's emotional fuel. And if you let it sit and fester, it'll eat you up. But if you channel it, if you move with it, if you use it, you can transform it into something extraordinary. Every heartbreak is a turning point, not because of the person who left, but because of who you become after. It's in the moments of heartbreak that people find their sharpest clarity. They discover what they actually want. They remember what they deserve. They stop tolerating mediocrity, not just from others, but from themselves too. Because sometimes the truth is we settle. We shrink ourselves to fit someone else's limited view of us. We quiet our needs to avoid rocking the boat. But when that relationship ends, you're given a choice. You can stay stuck or you can rise. And I know it's hard. I know the days feel long and the nights feel even longer. I know what it feels like to wake up and not feel excited about anything. But I promise you, if you make the decision to redirect your focus from what you lost to what you can gain, things will start to shift. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. You just have to start moving. Start by taking care of yourself in a way that feels empowering, not punishing. This isn't about changing for him. This isn't about showing him what he's missing. This is about finally choosing yourself. Hit the gym, not for revenge, but for discipline, strength, and confidence. Sign up for that. You kept putting off when you were too busy trying to make things work. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, people who remind you of who you are when you forget. You see, he thought you would fall apart without him. And maybe, for a little while, you did. But here's the twist. You're rebuilding not as who you were, but as someone stronger, wiser, and far more grounded. The goal isn't to make him regret losing you. That's just a byproduct. The real goal is to become so fulfilled, so in love with your life, so aligned with your worth, that his absence stops feeling like a wound and starts feeling like a gift. He doesn't need to see your progress. He doesn't need to know how well you're doing. That's not the point. Because this transformation, it's not for him. It's not for the Instagram post. It's not for the mutual friends. It's for you, because you deserve to be the main character in your life, not the sidekick in someone else's story, not the placeholder while he figures himself out. People regret what they can no longer access, what they no longer have the privilege to be around. When you start showing up for yourself with confidence, with grace, with purpose, he will notice. Whether he reaches out or not, whether he says it out loud or not, he will feel it. That quiet strength you carry will say everything. And by then, the irony is, you won't care if he does. You'll be too busy living. So stop waiting for him to wake up and realize what he lost. Start waking up for you. Let your daily actions be a declaration of self-worth. Let your growth be non-negotiable. Let your future be about something far bigger than making someone else. Turn the pain into power and let your life do the talking. His regret is not your mission. Your joy is. I need you to hear that, not just with your ears, but with every part of you that has felt rejected, disappointed, or not enough. Too often when someone leaves or mistreats us, our instinct is to prove them wrong, to show them what they lost, to make them miss us. And it makes sense. It's human. You feel that sting, that ache, and suddenly your mind starts playing this little game. How do I make him see what he threw away? But here's the truth. The second you make his regret your goal, you give him power over your healing. You make your future dependent on someone else's hindsight. And that's not where your power lives. That's not where your joy lives. You don't need him to look back and wish he had done things differently. You need you to look forward and be proud of how you handled yourself, how you rose from the pain, and how you chose growth over bitterness. Because the real glow up isn't about turning his head. It's about turning your life into something so fulfilling that even you wouldn't trade places with your past self. Let's be real. There's a reason he's not in your life anymore. Maybe he didn't see your value. Maybe he took you for granted. Maybe he just didn't want to grow. And that's painful, but it's also liberating. Because now, you're not stuck waiting for someone to change or show up differently. You're free. You're untethered. And you get to write the next chapter without compromising your worth. The question is, what do you want that chapter to look like? If your answer is, I want him to regret, then let me ask you this. What does that give you? Let's say he does regret it. He sends the text. He watches your stories. He suddenly wants you back. Now what? Does that fill the void? Or does it just validate the pain for a moment and then leave you empty again? You don't need that. You don't need someone to regret you, to prove you are valuable. You are valuable right now, without the apology, without the closure, without the validation. What you need is joy. And not the kind that's performative, not the kind that looks good on social media but feels hollow inside. I'm talking about real joy, the kind that comes from getting your spark back, from choosing yourself every day, from laughing without wondering if he'll see it, from living in such alignment with who you are and what you want that you forget he was ever the focal point of your life. When you stop chasing his regret and start chasing your joy, everything shifts. You stop obsessing over whether he's watching. You stop editing your life for his attention, and you start living fully for you. And here's the wild part. When that happens, that's exactly when regret creeps in for him. When he sees you vibrant, radiant, unbothered, that's when he starts to question, starts to feel the loss. But by then, it doesn't even matter to you because you're not looking over your shoulder anymore. You're not living to be seen. You're living to be. So I want you to wake up tomorrow and make choices that light you up. Go where you feel inspired. Say yes to things that challenge you. Say no to things that drain you. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your power, not people who make you question it. Pour into your passions. Take care of your body. Nourish your mind. Fall in love with your own energy again. You don't need to get revenge. You don't need to win the breakup. You don't need to craft a perfect comeback. The most powerful thing you can do is to move forward with grace, with joy, and with purpose. That's how you reclaim your story. And if he does regret it one day, good, let him. But you won't be waiting for it. You'll be too busy living a life that feels like freedom, because his regret is not your mission. Your joy is.